Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K Now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Nick.
Hey.
And Gal.
Hello.
Good morning. And Spence is here.
Who?
Welcome back.
Hi. How are you?
Great. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by VMix Software, Telestream's Wirecast software, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear.
Actually, today's show is made possible by the solar output of the sun.
Yeah, one of these days.
Nothing would happen.
Yeah.
Suspense. How many Windows updates did you have to do after you were gone?
Oh my gosh!
My
gosh! The big machine, this machine, my video machine, wasn't too bad because I already had the feature update on. The other machine didn't have it, and because I had blocked it for 200 days.
Oh, jeez!
It took me forever to get I'd have to individual ones one at a time. I actually downloaded a couple of them directly from the Microsoft update site and did them that way instead of waiting for the machine to actually find them. It took the better part of a day coming back and forth and poking around. Finally got it done.
So how was Alaska?
It was great. Yeah, it was. I had a good year in that. Yeah, you're working with people. Your responsibilities are, number one, you get people from one place to another, but you want to give them a good vacation. They're up there. A lot of people have saved their whole life. This is a trip of a lifetime. They wanted to go to this great place. And if you can give them a good trip and enjoy it, I'm doing it enough now that I was comfortable. I didn't have to worry about where am I going? I don't want to miss a turn or whatever. And you just relax and enjoy it. It was fun. I spend time, sometimes 5 days with the same group of people. And that's the part I really love. It's just getting to know people from all over the world. And just, you go around a turn and you see this incredible sight, some glacier or mountain or whatever, or animals, and people just squeal with delight. And you sit there and you go, this is so cool. Yeah, it's good. It's just too dang far.
Yeah, what's the time difference?
4 hours. 4 hours. Yeah.
But it seems a lot more.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, because you have to think. I mean, you're on the low end of it. Not that, like, if it was Europe, it would be a little different. But you got to pay attention because you can't. Hey, it's 6 o'clock here. If I call home now, it's 10. You got to pay attention to the time.
Well, we're glad to have you back.
Well, good. I'm glad to be back.
What was the cell service like? Any better or worse than years past?
Actually, it was excellent.
Oh, nice.
I mean, Verizon makes a point of telling you to turn on roaming. And when you do that, there were some places I went to where it would attach to an extended network, and even though Verizon was there, so I'd have to turn it off. But I was getting 20 down in Fairbanks on my phone, and I was tethering. I didn't tether to watch movies or anything like that. I tethered just to use my computer so I could do email and whatever. Never throttled me. Never. It was great. I was amazed. And they're putting in They're putting in more fiber. Fairbanks is in the middle of the state, in the interior up. There's not a whole lot north of there. There's a couple roads that go north, but there are no cities. And they ran fiber optic up the 2 main north-south highways a couple years ago, and that made a big difference. And they're adding more. And these little towns, 400 people, you could see them putting in the interduct to go to these little towns. It's amazing. I wish they put the interduct into my town here in Apex.
Who's doing the work? Is it just like is it a contract group or was it?
Yeah,
like
it was a contract group.
Gotcha.
You could see them, using that machine, the tunneling machine.
Yeah, the trencher thing.
Yeah, or they were just burying it on the side of the road.
But
But
who's the fiber provider? Is it like CenturyLink or somebody like that?
No, I don't know. Verizon doesn't own the Vibe. I know AT&T is very big on the wireless side. They have all the big microwave installations there.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure about the fiber. There are 2 providers in Fairbanks. One is the traditional phone company. They only just started to offer an unlimited service. Before that, everything was on the dial, right? It was the other. I got that backwards. The cable company was the one that didn't offer unlimited till recently. You had to pay as you went, and the local phone company offered DSL unlimited, but it was slow. But now it's so much better. This is an interesting statistic about Fairbanks. It's a city of about 33,000 people, big Army base there, Air Force base, other things, and that's not included in the population numbers. But the average age is 27, which is incredible because it used to be in the 40s and 50s because it was mostly retired military people that would stay. And they'd come up and serve and then say, I like it here and stay. But now 27 years old, because you have things like Arctic Man. Arctic Man is an extreme winter sports competition. It's like Burning Man for snow. And that's not too far from Fairbanks. So you've got the people who want the lifestyle. And now that they have access to internet, it's a place to live. It's expensive, but people come for the lifestyle.
Well, again, welcome back.
Well, thank you. It'll take me a little while to catch up on things here. But
Well, we'll talk a little bit more about experiences up there. Meantime, there was a story last week that I never got to. Remote Desktop Protocol, RDP, is, to the frustration of security professionals, both remarkably insecure and indispensable in enterprise computing. The September 2019 Patch Tuesday round closed 2 remote code execution bugs in RDP, while the high-profile Bluekeep and Deja Blue vulnerabilities from earlier this year have sent IT professionals in a patching frenzy, with botnets brute forcing over 1.5 million RDP servers worldwide. A dedicated RDP security tool is needed to protect enterprise networks against security breaches. RDP was bad from the days of what, NT? It seems like, right?
Security-wise, RDP was always terrible.
Yeah, but when did RDP started? I mean, when was it available? I think NT is the one that introduced it, right?
Could be. I didn't really use NT. Trying to remember if Windows 2000 it was around.
2000. I'm sorry, not NT. 2000.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
I don't understand Microsoft. Here is a tool that a lot of high-end users are using. And they never took the time to sit down and try to figure out, okay, what are we doing wrong? A company that is trying to, quote unquote, dominate or become more appealing to professionals in IT is giving you a piece of software that is so bad that you had to go to a third-party software if you needed to do that.
That's not That's not accurate.
Okay. I never used it,
so
so very possible.
right. So the reason you don't use it is you do not manage an internal network full of Windows servers.
Right.
Right. You're in a mixed environment, and so RDP is an internal protocol. It does not. It's not something you would expose outside of the network.
Oh, I know a lot of people that do, though.
I know that wouldn't be smart, right?
Right.
Because of these issues, but the thing is that the problems of the internal network, when you go above above 15 users, right? Then uh, the amount of exposure you have is huge, because each of your workstations in effect is exposed outside somehow, at least by web browsing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so every workstation is a point of vulnerability, right? And I'm not even talking about any services that you might be exposing outside. So that's where RDP fails. And so yeah, and the solutions up until today were to limit RDP over the network at certain locations. So a highly secure environment where the company takes security seriously. Let's say endpoint worker, they have laptops, for example. Okay, all of these laptops outside of the network will be connected via VPN, and none of these laptops will be able to host an RDP session, right? And you control it via GPU. And that is because the flaws of this protocol. But then again, what they do with RDP is is completely different than TeamViewer or AnyDesk or any of those, because those are built for shared session, right? You and me, we want to connect over a TeamViewer connection or similar one, right? Then we're both going to watch the same screen. RDP is a way of logging into a remote machine. RDP is a way of hosting services on an internal server. And so when you're focused on internal services, then security, right, takes second place to features. That's a reality.
No.
It is changing. It's definitely changing, right? It has changed a lot. I mean, the way Microsoft looked at security since 2012, or maybe even before 2008, I think. 2008 R2 is when they started taking security really, really seriously and put it as the security first philosophy. RDP was left behind because it wasn't a major attack vector. That's why.
Well, that's not an excuse though, because still a lot of people in here, like even today, there are RDPs being attacked big time, and there are obviously millions of servers out there that are open to such. When they're talking about 1.5 million RDP servers worldwide, that's still a lot and that's always, this is being used only by IT. I mean, it's not being used by your home user that is using Microsoft Word. Some end users may be doing, but in most cases, it is IT department, and they are doing this. I just don't get it. I think
Oh, it's more
Microsoft.
than IT departments. That much I can tell you.
Okay.
I so on my laptop, I have a basic set of tools, office tools, stuff like that, Outlook. But if I need to do work on some proprietary content, then I RDP into a virtual machine where I do my work.
Locally or somewhere else?
No, the server will be in some unknown data center to me. Right?
Okay.
Either in the US or Israel. But it is always behind it's always in the internal perimeter, and sometimes even in a second tier or third tier internal perimeter. So you're saying it's no excuse. It's like talking about the home, right? And talking about the fact that you're not locking your internal doors between the
Right.
rooms, right? That's where RDP, that's where Microsoft sees RDP, that's where IT world sees RDP. If you're exposing RDP outside,
Mm-hmm.
that won't be smart. I agree.
Right. That's
But
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I doubt that's common practice anywhere. I'm not saying people are not doing it. I'm saying it's just not common practice. You would do it through a VPN at least. And so that changes the picture, right? Because you're talking about the internal doors. So now they're talking about, okay, it's time to, the article, right? It's talking about it's time to put like a real serious lock on your office door inside your home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's
No.
completely bogus, right? It's not like it's a terrible idea. It's just, it's definitely not top priority. That's what I'm saying.
All right. Well, I guess if you say so.
That's my take.
Okay. And you stick by.
Yeah.
919-518-9773. Computers 2K voice on Skype. You were saying?
No,
Oh,
I was just
okay.
agreeing.
Now, you guys know what that is?
We talked about that, no?
It's okay. Did we talk about it?
I remember Amnon telling me. Was he telling me about this?
That's okay. Well, the okay hand gesture is now a hate symbol. According to a new report by the Anti-Defamation League, the league added that symbol along with several others last Tuesday to its long-standing database of slogans and symbols used by extremists. The finger and thumb OK sign is universally known for meaning everything is all right or approval of something.
So,
But the ADL says while not everyone means it to be hateful, the sign has been co-opted by the alt-right. So I'm reading this and I'm saying to myself, okay, so now there are people who are listening to extremists and they're going to pick up all kind of things from there and say, oh, this is used by them. I mean, a lot of them speak English. I wonder when the English language is going to be outlawed or flagged.
Blinking your eyes is now outlawed.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to blink your eyes.
It is just amazing.
Well,
it's like people have nothing else to do. You go like this and it's no, you hate me.
I talked about this a couple weeks ago on infection.
Yeah.
The ADL is a sham of an organization. I mean, they did a study about online gaming.
Yeah.
And all it really rubbed me the wrong way. They did a whole thing about how, there's all this discrimination online and video games, and they did this entire study about all the negative things about playing video games with people online and meeting people online. They did nothing positive. They talked about none of the positives. And I look at my own life and look at this whole group right here. I've met every single one of you because of an online interaction. I've been out to Seattle, Boston with people I've met online. I've been out to Vegas with people I've met online. It's all been positive things for me. I know that's not everybody, but I don't think I'm in the 1% of people that have had a good. I haven't met just scumbags online.
Yeah,
and so the ADL is such a freaking scam. And they just look for the worst things to talk about instead of anything positive. And it's super frustrating. Very, very frustrating. So this is not surprising at all.
Well, first of all, you need to understand they start their word with anti, so they cannot be about anything good.
Yeah, their
They're
name is
always
anti.
against.
Yeah, and it's just like and the video game one, God, was atrocious. So it was about how everybody online is 78% of video game players say that they experience extreme harassment. I mean, it was just like just such a negative light on just everything. It's very disappointing.
You're going to find what you are charged to go out and find. That's all. You have to find it.
Yeah, and it's just specifically me, it just rubbed me really the wrong way.
So I'm sorry about my complete lack of knowledge here because I'm Israeli, right? I
No.
haven't heard about the ADL up until now. So they're a big thing in the States. It's like
Oh God, yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, the ADL is. I mean, if the ADL says something is bad and you do it, you're the worst person ever. Yeah, I mean, the ADL is the bastion of truth.
Interesting.
What was the saying? It's not the thing it's not the crime, it's the seriousness of the allegation.
Yeah.
Obviously.
When
the
did you
ADL.
when did you stop beating your
Yeah,
wife? I never beat my
exactly.
wife. That's not important.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So yeah, be careful
Interesting.
when you talk to friends and go like this. Oh, good.
You know what? If I have any friends that react to that, they're not my friends anymore. Because they'll know me to know that it's not. I mean nothing by it.
And some news here about Google. Google hyperlocal news service called Bulletin is shutting down in November. The idea behind Bulletin was that users could post news from their neighborhood, allowing others in the same area to hear stories that would otherwise be lost in the shuffle. The service also relied on AMP to load pages quickly. Google started with just a few cities, but Bulletin later expanded to all of the US and Canada. Bulletin never gained traction, probably because Google failed to promote it in any way, and now it's shutting it down.
Well, I'm sure it was just the bastion of honesty and truth. Nobody would ever use it to attack another neighbor. You know,
This is where it would lead, right? Any way you look at it, that's where it would lead. Somehow, nothing stays the way that it was designed to.
Well, if they were trying to compete with Nextdoor.com,
Right.
which is very popular, I'd
Yep.
never even heard of this service.
I know that's what they were saying, that they Google failed to promote it in any way.
Yeah, but Nextdoor is very popular. I know a lot of people. I use it myself. It's
Very,
very
but
popular.
even in Nextdoor, there's every now and then I hear from people saying that what they read there is, I mean, I don't want my kids to look at it.
Oh yeah, I mean Nextdoor.
You know,
Nextdoor can very quickly turn into just people griping about other
yeah,
neighbors. for
and
sure.
that's the problem. Yeah,
I don't know. Our Nextdoor for the neighborhood here, I just muted it not because of the people. The local police chief used it as like a bulletin board, and like incessantly, like every day there was at least 2 posts that was too noisy. So I think it has to do with the community, definitely.
well, yeah, but I mean, with the community, you can't. I mean, if here, like you're saying, chief of police is putting stuff in there, and what do you do as a community?
Yeah, I don't remember it being really actively. I think our community over here really uses Facebook. I'm not in there, so I don't open it. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
Isn't it amazing? A community uses Facebook. instead
They've
of going
Yeah.
to the a common place and get together and talk. It's
It's not
everything.
instead. It's not instead. Don't be
No,
that way.
no, no,
It's
no.
not instead.
Hey, 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 hey,
Don't be that way.
hey.
Don't be anti.
Facebook has been running a big marketing campaign on television I've seen where they're promoting exactly what Gal just talked about. They're promoting their group system and their marketplace system as really useful tools, and they are. I mean, I'm in a whole bunch of very good Facebook groups. If there's some sort of niche hobby and or group of business professionals, there is probably a dozen Facebook groups that service those individuals.
And they're probably not open group.
No, they're definitely not open
Yeah.
groups. And for me, a younger person who have never really got into forums, forums are in their heyday after or before me. The Facebook group system, while it's got its flaws by far, I find it far easier to use than traditional Bulletin or PHP MyBB forums. So I've just never gotten into forums, but Facebook groups are great.
All right. So let's on the same. That's a great segue.
Yeah, I'm good at that.
Facebook last week finally put into writing what users, especially politically powerful users, have known for years. Its community standards do not, in fact, apply across the whole community. Speech from politicians is officially exempt from the platform's fact-checking and decency standards. That's Facebook. YouTube CEO said last week that content by politicians would stay up on the video sharing website even if it violates the company's standards. When you have a political officer that is making information that is really important for the constituents to see or for other global leaders to see, that is content that we would leave up because we think it's important for other people to see.
And who is it that makes that decision?
You see, that's the point of the thing.
That's the thing. It's like who is sitting there reading this and go, "Oh, don't like that one. Gone. Sorry." That one goes along with my worldview. Leave that up there.
Just amazing. It's amazing.
Didn't Facebook step in it just recently because they actually admitted that they were they were going back and forth in a defense for something, whether they were a publisher or a provider. And in the same week, they came out in two different documents. One said that they were publisher and one said they were provider. So
Let's look at something different, though. So you as a politician, are you allowed to upload, at least on these platforms, YouTube specifically, you're allowed to upload copywritten content? Well, no.
Good point. Good point. Who knows? Yeah.
If
it's very important that I can put the plans for a suitcase atomic bomb up on Facebook so people are aware of it because I'm a politician. So it'll stay up there.
Yeah, I wonder how that works. So, like, are politicians exempt from copyright on these platforms? It would appear that way.
They think they are.
I mean,
well, they are. Facebook. If YouTube tags your account as you are a politician and you upload some copyrighted material, you're good to go.
It's amazing.
YouTube said politicians. Facebook did not say politicians. Facebook says politically powerful users.
Oh, okay.
You know, that can encompass a lot of other people that they kicked off.
And that means, again, that they're deciding who is politically powerful. So you have an opinion, your powerful opinion that disagrees with the auditor, then you're gone.
Interesting. All right. Here is something that may affect all of us, or I mean, got to do with cord cutting. Locast, 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 a little-known nonprofit behind a free streaming service, sued ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox on Friday, alleging that the television networks colluded in an effort to chill its business. Locast streams network shows and sports programs through a free app that relays broadcast feeds online. People can get the streams without a cable or satellite plan, potentially cutting off licensing fees to the broadcasters. More traditionally, viewers can also receive broadcast signals over the air at no charge with a digital antenna. In July, the networks banded together to sue Locast, arguing that it had violated their copyrights and chipped away at the revenue they get from pay television operators like AT&T and Comcast. The networks are expected to receive more than $10 billion in such fees this year.
Now, are they just rebroadcasting things
Yeah.
that were already over the air?
Apparently.
Well, then how? This was a case between a guy in Toronto who was doing this. He was taking TV channels and rebroadcasting them in Canada to serve the upstate New York area. And he said, "Well, why? All I'm really doing is just amplifying the signal for people who can't get it." And they shut him down. They shut him down. Wow.
Well, there was a New York company. We talked about this.
Yeah. They had all the little like quarter size antennas.
Yeah, they tried to circumvent this lawsuits by claiming that each person, each account there had its own antenna. They created like this array of very small antennas, but that didn't help them either, I think, because they were doing also DVR, and because they were hosting the DVR, then that's what I think got them shut down.
Well, I mean, here's a group. I mean, it's a nonprofit. It does it for free. It's not benefiting. I mean, it's not making profit off of it.
Yeah, so maybe they have a chance. I hope.
Well, yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
So yeah, the way that works is it does it based on location data.
Yeah.
And where you are. Now, obviously, that's spoofable. But they are in 13 cities, including New York, Boston, Philly, Baltimore, D.C., San Francisco, L.A., and a couple of other cities across the country.
Yeah, when I was looking at it, and I said, find that there's nothing in your area.
Yeah. But this is because it's an interesting thing, right? Because so these networks are claiming that they're losing money in terms of they're losing cable license fees, yet they make their first of all, the local channels have a license as a public service via the FCC. So I mean that is stupid, but they're broadcasting their signal free of charge over the air.
This is funny how
are they required by law to broadcast it? I just don't know what the laws are.
Well, if so, a local. So so in this case, this is local affiliates, and yes, I mean they have a license from the FCC. They are required to hold tolerance to their license. If they have a 1,000,000-watt TPO license, they are required to stay within 2% tolerance of that license. So yes, they are. And that license is granted by the FCC as a public service. If the FCC deemed that they were not a public service, they would be well within their means to revoke the license. So
this is exactly like the original Amnon. Do you remember community television? If
Yeah.
people lived in an area where they didn't get a good signal
Right.
from, they would have a master antenna, and they would run cable to that community that was isolated, and then people would get their signals over the cable. This is exactly the same thing. It's just using internet instead of that fixed cable. Exactly the same thing. The digital translator says, but they're not using, they're not rebroadcasting the signal over the air. They're using the internet to give you access to already available local over the air television. Yeah, if they shut this down, it's criminal.
Yeah, well, the claim that they're missing out on license fee is BS. I mean, because they make all of this stuff fully available for free to the public. I mean, you can put with new digital televisions, you can put a freaking paper clip in your antenna hole on the TV, and it'll pick up a strong over-the-air signal.
Hey, I have a Winegard. I have a Winegard directional antenna in my attic I can get 45 channels. I must be in violation of the law.
Yeah,
because I have a super antenna.
It's just it's crazy, and I don't know. I don't know who. Let's be careful because this is interesting though. Locast is suing NBC, ABC, and Fox. I don't know if they're necessarily suing the right groups, right? They should be, in my opinion, and I don't know all about it, but they should be going off after the local broadcaster because that's the one that's the one that you're if you're stealing the content, that you're not stealing the content from ABC. You technically are, but you're stealing it from the local broadcaster. So that could be Next Media, it could be Tribune, it could be Sinclair. I mean, you've got your big TV groups throughout the country.
But they did it in response to lawsuits that they were getting.
Oh, okay. They're countersuing.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
And then it does make sense to go with collusion because they don't have anything in common, right? NBC, CBS, and all of that, and they are suing together. So counter-suing that they are conspiring against actually makes a lot of sense here. Maybe they have a chance. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, if any of those,
we're losing our legal mind today.
Yeah, I know. I wish Mike was here so he could give us a little insight. But if the past services are any indication, these guys are going to get their asses handed to them because both of the one that Spence talked about did, and the guy in New York, I don't remember what its name was, but they put a master antenna like on the Empire State Building or something, and they got sued out of existence. So
I remember back in the 90s when we were on the buzz, the station wanted to go on the internet. I mean, live streaming just kind of started for radio stations. And they asked me if I could do that. I said, yeah. They were told real quick that they cannot do that because the explanation was that they are paying the ASCAP and whatever the other one, BMI.
Yeah.
For a certain number of listeners.
Correct.
And now that they're going to go on the internet, they're going to have a whole lot more.
Correct.
And there was no way to count these to know, because now they can go all over the world, that they're just not allowed to do it. It's not like, okay, you have to pay that much more. It was, no, we can't count. We can't figure out how much you're supposed to pay. So you just can't do it.
So the way we got around it was we used Ustream, and we just didn't have any BMI or ASCAP.
Oh,
content.
no, but Spence, at that point, it was already solved because what happened, and I don't know how it worked out, there was a company that did that for radio stations. They would sell you a server, and it will do everything. And I don't know how they got permission or licenses to do it. Maybe they were blocking certain IPs. I have no idea. But that machine was in the station, and the station was online. Not for long. It didn't last but a few months, and then that company went out. But I always thought about it this way. If I was an advertiser, I would welcome such a thing.
Yeah, but see, you're looking at the wrong thing here, Amnon. This is an issue now too. So, for example, today's Sunday, so there'll be lots of NFL games on the
Right.
radio, right? The NFL, the contract with the NFL, with these teams is that you can, you stream the game over the air. You're an affiliate of whatever, the Carolina Panthers, but you do not have the right to rebroadcast that stream over the internet, and that's something that is dealt with today. So, if your station is actually fulfilling the agreement, you are not streaming an NFL game over your web stream. You have some sort of alternate content. And this is common in football and baseball and college football. This is very, very common.
Okay,
And
so
it's a licensing issue. That's what it is. It's not
Yeah.
it's licensing. So the advertiser, of course the advertiser would want it over the thing, but they don't have the license to broadcast that game over the internet. And that's
So-
how that works.
So technically, how is that broadcast ends up on Reddit?
Well, two different things. I'm talking about with radio now.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So with the radio, they are not supposed to broadcast the game over their live stream. They are not supposed to. Now, plenty of them do, because you've got all these mom and pop stations that just frankly don't care. But you're not supposed to. So if you go to like a big station, probably the Sports Fan in Raleigh, 99.9, they likely will not broadcast whatever game they have on today at 1:00 over their live stream. They will have some sort of alternate program that goes out over their stream. And that's because the license they have with the NFL or the NFL team does not allow them to stream that over their internet stream. And it's the same thing that you just described. But it's the license term. I mean, that's what and it's the same problem with BMI and ASCAP. You have a license for over the air for a certain amount of listeners based on your rating and your DMA. When you're online, the DMA is non-existent. You're anywhere. So,
I
that's
mean, do you know if the same happens when your station has all the talk shows, Sean Hannity?
yeah,
and-
we have a specific we have to pay a specific fee to stream those shows over the air.
But what happens when you go
Or
online?
excuse me, stream them online. For example, the Sean Hannity show, there is a monthly fee
Mhm.
for online streaming rights for his show.
And is it a whole bunch?
I have no idea,
I'm wondering.
but nevertheless, there is a fee, and that's what they do.
Yeah, you see, but back then with the station, there was no fee.
Well,
they
yeah,
said-
but yeah. Again, that was back in the
Yeah,
'90s.
yeah. No, I
But
understand.
it's all down to licensing. That's where you have a license term and a license agreement for either a specific physical signal or a certain number of listeners, or probably what it is a DMA, a designated market area. And then when you start streaming that content online, your DMA is non-existent because you're on the internet.
Well,
so there's a little.
We'll see
little-
what happens with that. That will be interesting to find
I
out.
mean, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. They're not going to win. You can't. You're suing the biggest media companies in the world. you're a non-profit. I don't see it. These guys have got way too much play.
Oh.
It's a shame, but it's
Yeah.
the reality of it. You know how much lobbying these big groups do?
Yeah. All right. A possible computer virus attack has knocked out Mac Pro workstations for many film and TV editors across Los Angeles. Oh, According to Variety, the issue, which is causing the workstations to refuse to reboot, is widespread among users of Mac Pro computers running older versions of Apple operating system, as well as Avid's Media Composer software. So I guess the world of Apple is you can run older operating systems, and you
Well,
give the company a bad name because of it. I mean, same thing happens with Windows, but I always thought that Apple users were, Apple was treating their users, you always have the latest, it's free and all that. But apparently there's a good reason to
oh yeah, for sure. They had changes in architecture.
yeah.
There are applications that cannot, not even with some tweaks, cannot run in the newer OSs because there's no it is incompatible because of the architecture of the hardware, right? They switched to Intel
Mm-hmm.
I think late 90s, early 2000s, and once they switched to Intel, they basically ditched everything that was developed previously. So if you have a piece of software that was never upgraded to the new architecture, you're stuck.
Well, apparently that's what's happening.
Mhm.
And there was another piece of thing about this. Um, a faulty Google Chrome update is likely to blame for the issue last Monday that resulted in Mac Pro workstations being rendered unusable at a number of Hollywood studios. We recently discovered that the Chrome update may have shipped with a bug that damages the file system on macOS machines. The company
Wow.
wrote in a forum post. That's
Damn.
Google said that. What?
It's a damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've paused the release while we finalize a new update that addresses the problem. So, I mean, it damaged the file system. That's bad.
That is terrible.
It's pretty funny, but not.
But
I mean,
it's
not
like
funny.
it's like the Windows update bug where people were reporting about missing personal files. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but at least with the
Yeah.
Windows update
But-
bug, it's Windows doing the update, not Google
Exactly.
Chrome.
Yeah.
How
Well,
does Chrome corrupt your file system?
that is a good question. Makes me happy I'm not using Chrome so much. Well, actually, at all.
You're not
Right.
using a MacBook either.
That makes me happy regardless.
Happier.
What do you use for your browser?
Firefox.
Hmm.
If I need to use Chrome, I use Chromium, which I update manually.
I've only ever used Chrome.
Then you should try something else.
Well,
just
well,
so
no.
you try.
Well, let me tell you why. So I use all of Chrome, and I know Firefox will do all this. I'm just, I've got it set up how I like it. I've got my Chrome login where it syncs across all my devices, which is nice. So I have my bookmarks and my history and whatnot everywhere with that. I've got a whole bunch of add-ons; those as well sync across all my different
Right.
my different devices, so that I can use all that stuff. So I've never had a problem with Chrome. Is it the quickest thing in the world? Probably not. It's probably more efficient to use something else, but
I don't know what I mean. The reason I moved to Chrome was when Chrome came out. It had a novel architecture. It made a lot of sense in the way it worked. It addressed a specific issue, and it had some very cool features that Firefox at that time lacked. And still, I stuck with Firefox until Firefox became this really laggy piece of software. Then they did a completely revamp the architecture. They basically
Redesign.
wrote they basically wrote the browser from scratch, and the shift they made just gave it back its took it back to its glory times. And while it still lacked few of the key features that that were the main reason for me to use Firefox until I switched to Chrome. Some of these were still missing because of the new architecture change. They'll never come back. Most of them are still here. Firefox allows you to manipulate the UI, something that Chrome doesn't allow you at all. Simple things like you can control the toolbars and place them in different locations. Firefox has a sidebar, something that Chrome doesn't have, and any implementation in Chrome sucks. And on top of that, Firefox keeps innovating. And I'm not saying Google isn't innovating, but Google's innovation are really focused on how should I say, glossing out, being seemingly smooth, etc. And when it comes to Firefox, I feel like I'm getting the options for new experience. So things like the tab containers. Google has a solution which is clunkier, a lot clunkier, and that's the profiles, where you need to switch. Specifically, they cannot live in the same UI. Firefox does that a lot better. So I would definitely recommend trying out. And what I mean by trying out is make a decision that, for a couple of weeks, you use only this new browser. Every hit you hit, you figure out how to make it work for you. And the added benefit of using something from a nonprofit that puts privacy as number one, I think that's much better than that's a good practice in general, right? Always look for a solution that would answer something in your world. And Google right now is convenient, but Google right now is akin to Internet Explorer when it comes to using the big guy's default thing, right? So that's my take on it. But
Yeah, and James is saying in the chat, Firefox is also faster than Chrome.
today,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I remember Amnon was hesitant to switch back to Firefox when I started recommending it.
Mhm.
And one of the reasons was speed, because of the previous experiences from the previous architecture. And yeah, once you switch, you don't go back.
No, absolutely. It's great. Firefox is king.
Firefox right now, definitely.
Yeah, right now. That's right. All right. And talk about what people are using. How many people are using like Ccleaner? A lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Too many to my liking.
Microsoft.
I don't use.
Okay, Microsoft. So how do you clean your
I do not.
temporary files?
Temporary files. It's in a temporary folder. The system, by the way, cleans it periodically, and if I lose space, then right click, shift delete. Come on. It's a single location, and that's probably the only place where it is a problem. I don't see.
I don't know that it's a single location, because when you run Ccleaner, when it gets, and let's say you have Firefox open or Chrome open, it cleans and cleans and takes stuff out, but then it says, hey, I need to close Chrome.
Yeah, that's the thing. It does damage to an existing infrastructure. I'm not saying that it doesn't help in space.
Yeah.
It might, right? But the amount of space it provides, I don't think it's meaningful.
I don't know. But anyway, Microsoft has never been a fan of registry cleaner. And last week, the company is taking steps to ensure that such software is no longer being recommended to users who are having issues with their PCs. HT Novo reports that Microsoft has added Ccleaner.com to their blacklist of domains on the official Microsoft support forum. The blacklist filter notes that Microsoft has various filters in place to keep community members safe. When a website that is blacklisted is posted, the system will remove it if it has been posted by an unaffiliated user. The filter will remove part of the site so it is unreadable with 4 stars. Affiliated users will be able to post websites which are blacklisted. So again, it's like they don't want me to go in there and say, "Hey, Ccleaner is great," but if it's one of their affiliated users, it's okay for them to do it.
Well, I think what
Well,
they're trying to deal with is people run Ccleaner, it hoses something on their computer, and
Yeah.
then they go to the Microsoft forums and bitch and complain that Microsoft sucks and, Microsoft is the problem. And
I don't know how
that's
many. I mean, I use Ccleaner religiously. I probably clean once a week, and I do the uh, register cleaner only if I install and uninstall a bunch of stuff. And it always finds, maybe 10, 15 bad entries in the registry. Knock on wood, I never had a problem with the system getting hosed because of Cclean. So much
right, but you
so,
do not approve everything automatically, right?
uh, no, I mean, well, I don't read. I just click, yeah, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. I mean, I don't look at the thing, but I when it's just a few of them, I look and I see that it's because it's something about Adobe that was just installed is not right, and something about, I mean, things that are not important. Yeah, you're right. I
So,
do look at it.
so my approach is just not install that software.
Well,
I know it sounds funny. I'm so
look, let me tell you this. Kathy's sister was here from Savannah, who was evacuated for Dorian. She has a laptop. She's not in any way tech savvy.
Mhm.
She wanted to get a new computer, a new laptop. And I said, why? She said, this has become very, very slow. I can't do anything. Running Windows 10.
Mhm.
I said, well, let's take a look. I mean, it has an i5, I mean, and 3.4 or something like that gigahertz. I said, there's no reason. So first I went and I cleaned with the temporary files, and it took about a good 20 minutes. I said, wow. I don't remember how much space it freed. Then I said, okay, I need to go ahead. In that case, it hasn't been done in a long time. I'm going to do the register clean. And I did that, and I saved the point where it did it. And it went on and on and on, and it found hundreds of bad entries in the registry. Now, yeah, many times she would just press the key and turn the computer off. Forever and ever now, she said it takes so long to come back. I just put it on sleep. It finished that, restarted it, and what took before about 2 minutes for it to come up to the login screen It took less than 30 seconds. And I said, okay, let's try it again. I mean, I got it on the internet. This works, this works, this works, this works. I said, try it. She was here for a few days. I said, try it. She said it never worked that fast. This is Windows 10.
Right.
And obviously, it did not keep the system clean. It had a lot of errors. So what do you do when your registry is not clobbered, but a little sick? It has a cold. What do you do? You have to
That might
use
be a
one of
good
these.
point. I'm looking at it from my perspective, and it's probably a skewed perspective. I agree. I've never seen Ccleaner improve anything on a system that it ran. I did see it cause problems, and that's why I stepped away from it.
I don't.
Keep on using. I have nothing to say.
Nick, you never used it?
I mean, I've used it.
Why?
I don't know.
When would you use it?
I mean, I have it installed and I've used it from time to time, but
Okay.
I haven't used it for any specific reason.
No.
But I don't.
So-
I've never had a reason to run it. I just always have.
So the way I approach this is I don't trust the softwares that require registry access, right? It's just, if I can find something that's called portable, right? And in Windows, portable means it does not leave any mark on the system except for the place where it's running. Then that's what I try to run. The way a Windows machine is architected today, right, is there's the personal information, which is in the users folder, and there's the programs, the binaries, which are in the program file, right? And within the users folders, there's the profile data, which includes your registry and all that. So that's the technical aspect, right? I look for software that I can place in a folder outside of program files in a location of my choosing, and that writes the data in that location.
No.
And
Listen to yourself.
And up until hold on.
Okay.
And this is me, right?
Yeah.
This doesn't work for most people, and I understand that.
Yeah.
Right? Microsoft, in their design, they made it in such a way that made sense for people who have no understanding of how the internals work, right? That it made sense for them to do that. Now, the problem is Microsoft, they write their OS, right? And their applications, they behave exceptionally well and by the rules and all that. But when it comes to other applications, that's when the struggle starts. That's when the system starts slowing down. That's when misuse is starting to creep up. And so I shy away from the applications that take hold of my system completely. That is one of the reasons I do not install any antivirus by any other software. I leave the default one from Microsoft. It's good enough to do the stuff. And I don't want anything hogging on my system, and I don't want anything hooking up to my system in such a way that degrades its performance, right? But again, that's me. The place where things a bit changed, and I started doing this on family members' PCs that I help them with and stuff like that, is when I found a system that allows me to install everything, but still keep it rather portable, in a way where I have full control about what's stored where and how updates are made, etc. And I think I talked about it a while back, the Scoop SH site, which is a bunch of scripts and that hook up to a repository that tracks versioning, and so I can still use stuff that is auto updated, but it only touches a specific area of the file system that I allowed it. It does not mock up the system, and so it allows a lot more flexibility, and it's rather simple to use. Yes, it's still a bit high end, but if not high end, low level technical, because it requires the command line. But it does provide a system where you can automate things and still keep the system separated from the applications that you work with, but still have everything work well together, right? I don't install stuff from Adobe if I can, because Adobe are terrible. I don't install stuff from Symantec if I can, because they are terrible. I try to shy away from the big offenders. That's why I try to get less and less Google stuff on my PC, and because they try to take over, right? And the situations at the end turned out to be like the one with that Mac OS thing, right? Where an update to Chrome corrupted your file system. Come on. I want control over my system. And so my problem with Ccleaner is not with Ccleaner, but is with the concept that there are some people that without Ccleaner, their machine will be crap. It's like, I use the condom instead of going and getting the shot. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Spence, how about you? Do you use Ccleaner?
No, I used to.
Did you stop using it because of?
No, I just lost interest in it.
Oh.
Because there were times when it was, it was I didn't have it running in the background. I started up and there were certain things I'd want to exclude from it removing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that I don't like it. It's just that I don't use it.
Yeah.
There's some of the tools now in Windows for cleaning up
the
old
registry?
files. And I use search everything. I'll go and I'll look for big files that I want to get rid of and do it manually.
Yeah, but what you say, can Windows actually remove all the cache and temporary
What I'm
files?
just saying is that there are some tools now in Windows that will let you go in under drive maintenance and remove some things. It's like you said, it's not all that granular, but
Okay.
there are some pretty good tools.
Does Windows have a registry checker, cleaner, or whatever?
No, not that I'm aware of.
And
you just delete the registry; it'll rebuild itself.
Yeah. Alan, you're right. There's absolutely no reason to get the paid version of Ccleaner. None.
As a tool to use occasionally, Ccleaner is good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's
if you understand what it does and why, and you're, like you said, if you're aware of some of the install issues, yeah, that's fine.
And when I install it on people's customers' computers, I tell them use the file cleaner, but do not use the register cleaner.
Yep.
Because some people would do it in a way that could.
Oh yeah, you
damage.
don't realize how powerful it is, and it
Yeah.
goes in and you have not used this in 1 year, so let's get rid of it.
Yeah. But yeah, so far it's good. So it's interesting that Microsoft says no, don't use it.
Well, several things that they will put warnings up, kind of arbitrary warnings about using that you wonder about.
Yeah.
Some automated thing will say, "Oh, do you really want to do this?" It's like this has been judged to be a hazard to your machine. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, and you do need to go through. I mean, a lot of people would check everything on it and remove their passwords.
Yeah.
and they will never use it again. I mean, I had a couple of them that said, I don't use it because I don't want it to remove the password. I said, well, look, you just need to uncheck this and uncheck this, and then go to Chrome and uncheck this and uncheck this, and now it will not remove. Oh, really?
Hmm.
Yeah, you have to tell it where and what to do. Okay. Again, back to Apple. Apple is warning users of a bug in iOS 13 and iPadOS involving third-party keyboards. In a brief advisory posted Tuesday, the tech giant said the bug impacts third-party keyboards which have the ability to request full access permissions. iOS 13 was released 2 weeks ago. Both iOS 13.1 and iPad OS 13.1, the new software versions for the iPad, are out. They were out last week. Third-party keyboards can either run as standalone or with full access. They can talk to other apps to get internet access for additional features like spell check. I don't understand this full access for a keyboard. But full access also allows the keyboard maker to capture to its servers keystroke data or anything you type, like emails, messages, or passwords.
Like what Apple does.
This bug, however, may allow third-party keyboards to gain full access permissions, even if it was not approved.
I still don't understand what a party keyboard is. I mean, where's the party?
And it's the third party,
Is it like,
not the first
hey,
party.
Here's my party keyboard. It's like, I don't understand.
So, something to keep in mind. I don't know if they fixed it. I didn't follow.
I would guess that this is like one of 50 exploits that just happened to surface that are out there that are unknown. A lot of them are unknown, so people don't know to take advantage of it. But
here's another interesting story. And again, it involves Apple. Apple has confirmed Monday that it will manufacture the redesigned Mac Pro in Texas. The company said it will assemble the workstation at the same Austin, Texas plant that has produced the cylindrical Mac Pro since 2013. The reason for the move? Nick, what do you think the reason for the move is? Nick, not here?
Tariffs, no?
Yep. Exemptions from Trump's China tariffs for certain necessary components in the system. So, more American jobs. It may cost a little more, but that doesn't bother the Apple fanboys.
Exactly.
Shouldn't bother anybody.
No?
Everything has a cost.
Probably bothers the left.
Well, shouldn't bother anybody. If I have to spend a couple extra dollars and it's produced in the U.S., then
yeah,
that's a cost I'm willing to deal with.
Absolutely. Like buy local.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people who had Yahoo accounts between 2012 and 2016 can now apply for a cash payment of $100.
Yep. All right.
Yep. That's everybody, almost everybody in the U.S., right?
It's just like that stupid Equifax thing.
Exactly. But the final amount you will receive could be more or less than $100, depending on how many people file claims. It's also possible to file claims for up to $25,000 if you can document actual out-of-pocket losses and lost time due to the breach.
Yeah, I had to figure out my username and password to apply for this.
Yeah.
Apply for this thing.
However, actual payouts for all claims could be much lower if the total amount claimed exceeds what's available from the 117.5 million settlement. The settlement class potentially include up to 194 million people. So these amounts could be paid in full only if the vast majority of eligible people don't ask for the money. The settlement websites lets all class members choose from at least 2 years of free credit monitoring or the $100 cash payment. I did not look far enough to see what the website is to do that. I'm sure some people want to do it. If one of you will just do it quick.
If there's so many people affected, why don't they just get a van filled with $100 bills and just drive
And
through
go
neighborhoods
around,
and
yeah.
hand them out? Right?
While
Where they're
that
covered.
amount isn't guaranteed, just like the Equifax settlements, at least the Yahoo settlement website makes that clear up front, which is
Yes,
something to say. Something.
I had Yahoo, but it's got to be 15 years ago or more. And I had an ID, but I never really used it. I thought, what wasn't there a chat? Didn't Yahoo have a chat at one time?
Yeah.
That's probably why I had it. And that's the only reason why I had it.
Yeah, I don't think I have it. I don't think I ever had a Yahoo account.
I still do.
My brother-in-law
It's there.
had his account hacked, and he was getting his reply would put some guy's email address as sent from. The guy hacked his account and changed the signature. So I went in and I changed the password, and every so often I'm still listed as his security for him. So I'll get a notification that he logged in from a different machine.
A lot of the passwords from the Yahoo breach are the passwords that people are getting today in that porn scam. Hey, we
Pawn.
have your password. Huh?
Never mind.
What'd you say?
I said pawn. Have I been pawned?
No, porn. Those emails that you get. Oh, I installed.
Yeah, but they're all
thing.
from the same place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it takes time for you to clean up and delete and all that, maybe you can claim that it's taking. Your time is money.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, good luck is right.
There was another big data breach this week. Do you have anything about the Doordash breach?
Yeah, go ahead. I was just going to mention it, so you mention it.
So, Doordash is one of those
food delivery.
Food delivery. Yeah, they do other stuff too, but food delivery services, and apparently 4.9 million customers, workers, and merchants. So the restaurants, the deliverers, delivery people, and the end user are all susceptible. And it's not clear exactly what has happened. It's just stolen information, apparently.
Yep, and they admitted it.
Well, yeah, of course.
They have to.
Yeah, the FEC or somebody requires
the
well,
one.
No, not yet. I mean, there's no laws like GDPR over in the US.
Right.
Enough that they have a European Union customer, then they are required by the GDPR. So it has become common practice at this point.
The one thing that they mention is customers who joined after April 5th, 2018 are not affected by the breach. So maybe they moved to a new system back then and left this one unsecured. I don't know, but they said that if you join after April 5th, 2018, not to worry.
I checked. I thought I had an account, but no. I have an account with the Grubhub one, not the Doordash.
No. 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. One more story here that I have. This developer Riley Testit is launching an alternative to Apple's App Store called AltStore. That theoretically lets you push the boundaries of iOS without either jailbreaking or worrying that Apple will pull access. Let's see. Good morning. Hello. Okay. Didn't work. AltStore works by fooling your device into believing that you're a developer sideloading test apps. It uses an app on your Mac or Windows PC to re-sign apps every 7 days, using iTunes Wi-Fi syncing framework to reinstall them on your device before they expire. You only need a free Apple ID, a throwaway will do, to install apps that Apple would never allow, such as Tested's his own Delta emulator for Nintendo console. So apparently, before that, and I'm not an Apple or App Store know it anything because I never owned one of them, but they're just fooling the system. Apparently, you cannot install things from anybody else but Apple on your iOS devices unless they come from the App Store. Is that, am I right? I mean, somebody that knows?
Yes and no.
Oh,
Well, think about what they're doing. Those apps aren't getting installed from the App Store. It's tricking the phone into
Yeah.
believing you're a
no.
developer.
In general, I'm saying you cannot install.
Yeah.
stuff.
Correct. That's always been the issue with iOS. There's
Yeah.
no third-party apps.
So that's what
that's what jailbreaking is about.
Mhm.
It's about allowing installing other stuff.
So this seems like an incredible amount of work, though.
Yeah.
Well, an incredible amount of work on the part of
The end user.
I don't
Every
think so.
7 days, you've got to use iTunes Wi-Fi sync to re-sign the certificate. That seems like
Most iPhone users have the iTunes running in the background.
I know a whole bunch of people don't even have iTunes installed.
Yeah, all he's saying is that you'll need an application on your PC.
he has. Yeah, he has an app that does it for
Yeah.
you.
No, I understand, but you're going to have nevertheless.
Yeah.
You're not.
It's
you're-
not
you-
straightforward. It's not
It's not that
straightforward.
it's not straightforward. It's that every 7 days you're going to have to go in and either open the program or make sure something is open. Or agree or click on something every 7 days. I'm sure it's not fully automated.
Fully automated. That's what I'm reading from the description. This is his blog post.
I find it hard to believe. I've installed the apps as a developer before, and I know that you absolutely have to accept something on the.
Right. You see, you install the Alt server on your computer, obviously Mac. No, there's Windows as well, and then you launch AltStore. So it looks like that's all you do. That's the thing. That's why it's a big deal, because he automated the entire process. It is cumbersome as a developer to make that, right? But
You can only install 3 apps too.
What?
3 apps is the maximum that you can have installed.
Wow. 3 outside apps. 3
Correct.
apps that Apple does not. Interesting.
yeah, the reason is, I see. So a developer account costs $99 a year.
Yep.
And he's probably sharing a developer account. And that's why he's limiting it, because he's using, you're running it probably on a developer ID that he's sharing.
Well, then Apple can stop that.
Obviously, they can stop that.
This just seems like I'm not saying this is probably a cool thing to tinker with. This just seems like an extreme amount of work for the end user.
Well, I think the whole idea is showing that it's not impossible.
No, it's never been
But-
impossible.
And what's the downside if you jailbreak?
There's not really. I mean, there's, you may lose your warranty or whatever it may be, but you just reflash it if you have a problem.
Yeah, the problem is you break Apple's rules. That's the problem. There's another problem. By the way, this is also true for Androids, right? On Androids, you can very easily activate developer mode and allow unknown sources. That's the way it's called. And then you can install applications that did not come signed from the
Play Store.
From the Play Store. The risk of doing that, and there is a risk.
Risk there is to installing something that's not
right.
Yeah,
right.
I understand
And
that.
That's the whole idea of alternative stores, and that's why Apple is insisting, right, that only the App Store. Well, that's the claim, right? We know why. The why is the money, but the claim is that as long as Apple controls the ecosystem completely, then they can ensure that you are in a safe environment. And so allowing a third-party app store is, other than sharing the profits with for the manufacturer, right, is a risk that you need to do. But it's the same. In my eyes, it's like the same thing as deciding of buying a Google phone or an Apple phone, right? The moment we decide to buy such a phone, we know or sign up for Gmail, we are exposing ourselves in one way or another, and we're allowing oversight of our activity. And the same thing goes with third-party app stores, right? We will allow the producer of that third-party app store oversight of our activity, at least at some capacity. And so we just need to decide. And the real question is, do we get to decide, or do we just trust the tech companies who just feed us their crap? Yeah, that's all.
Okay, fine. Be like that.
Yeah. Let me choose my own poison.
A what?
Let me choose my own poison.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's fine. I mean, any of these things are not for everybody. I mean, you have to understand your device in order to do either the jailbreaking or this.
Yep.
And Microsoft is enabling Google Assistant to work with its Xbox One console. Much like the existing Alexa integration, Microsoft is allowing Google Assistant to launch games and apps, turn the console on and off, pause videos, and much more. You'll need to use the Google Assistant app for iOS and Android, or a device like Google's Home with Assistant on it to control an Xbox One. Google Assistant won't run on the Xbox One itself. Instead, it will receive commands from other devices running Assistant. So it's sort of like something in between. You have to have something in between, like the
Not really. I mean, so yeah, the only thing they say, yeah, because they have Xbox, they have like an internal voice assistant, Cortana,
uh-huh.
where you can say Xbox startup or something like that, and it'll power up. I think that's what they mean that it can't do. It will need something external. But Xbox always had some sort of external control. I mean, you could install an app to control your Xbox from your phone. So instead of the app, you'll now use that Google Assistant. I don't know if it's nice of them or it's if it's confirmation of defeat.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that is
Could-
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Yeah. And okay, now listen to this one. The voting machines that the US will use in 2020 election are still vulnerable to hacks. A group of ethical hackers tested a bunch of those voting machines and election systems, most of which they bought on eBay. They were able to crack into every machine, the Washington Post report. Their test took place this summer at a DEF CON cybersecurity conference, but the group visited Washington to share their findings last week. A number of flaws allowed the hackers to access the machines, including weak default passwords and shoddy encryption. The group says the machines could be hacked by anyone with access to them. So that's the one thing. And if poll workers make mistakes or take shortcuts, the machine could be infiltrated by remote hackers. And I'm thinking, I think that these machines in the morning of that Tuesday should have an internal scheduler that cuts them off of the internet. Completely cut it off. There's no reason for it to have internet access.
Paper ballots.
Well,
Paper
I mean, no,
ballot.
but let's stay with that. So cut it off in the morning, and you know when the day's over. When the day's over, before you connect back to the internet, the results, you click a button, it encrypts that file. It encrypts and make one big file, and then you connect to the internet, you send it up to where it belongs, and you cut the internet off again. What is so hard about doing this?
These things are
No.
not connected to the internet.
They're not supposed to be. Yeah.
They're not.
Well, how do people can do it from outside?
Well, that's the question. But
See, this
This
is always this thing with these election machines that is stupid. They put them in these things like DEF CON, where these guys have got unlimited access to these things. They can tinker with it however they want, and then they say these things are being. There's not even any voting machines set up right now. It's freaking September.
Right? Yeah,
So what are they talking about?
they're talking
They're
about
talking
the
about precautions.
hardware.
That's okay.
Yeah. Precautions are fine, but they're saying that these things are going to be infiltrated. These things can be infiltrated. They're not connected to the
they're
internet.
Look,
setting
no,
up. They're
that's not-
setting up for a crisis.
They
They're
are.
setting us up so that if something goes wrong, they'll say, "Oh, look, it was a fraudulent election."
But look, come on, guys. Look, they're setting up something very simple. They're saying if these are not handled correctly,
Yeah, absolutely.
they are easily accessible,
Yeah,
which
agreed.
is completely legitimate, right?
There's-
And they need to make sure that everybody who has something to do with the setup of this handles it properly. That's all.
Agreed. But my frustration with this, and specifically with voting machines, is when they bring them to these hacker cons, these guys have got days to look at these things, physically touch the device, physically use the device, see how things respond, and they go, the machines are vulnerable. Well, I mean, you give any skilled hacker physical access to any. That's like giving a locksmith access to a keyway. They're
But
gonna
that's
they're
the
go-
way. But that's the way you research vulnerabilities.
oh
I don't understand the uproar. The fact that they're saying that these need to be handled with care.
no, 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 not at all.
Okay.
They bring these things. They bring these things to a favorable environment, like a DEF CON or some type of hacker con, right? These guys have got physical access to the machines. Hold on, let
Right.
me. And then they
Okay.
say, "Oh my God, these machines are vulnerable to be hacked." Yeah, absolutely. If somebody has 3 days to sit in front of a voting machine on election day with live voting results, of course they're going to be able to hack it. Of course it's going to be vulnerable.
No, but Nick, if you have the same machine and you practice on it, then when you go into the booth, you
Exactly.
can do
So
it in 2 seconds.
no, that's not how this works at all. These guys have got hours of sitting in front of these devices.
Yeah.
Nobody's going into polling places and physically hacking voting machines.
If somebody wanted to do it, they'll do it exactly like they did it. The only difference is these guys, they did it in the open.
Correct.
I don't see the problem.
There's not a problem, there's this crazy thing that these machines are so susceptible. They're not even connected to the internet. They're not.
I didn't even hear so susceptible. That there were a lot of limiting factors in the description, right? If they kept using the default passwords, if they set up with the improper way. So it's not like these machines are the worst idea ever, but they have vulnerabilities.
Of course they have.
which
Every
they
machine has
have them
vulnerability.
out of the box. So if you do not set them properly, right? Look, when we used to buy routers 5 years ago, right? All of the routers used to have the same password. Now, when you buy a router, it's based on the MAC address of the router. So you need to physically access it in order to know something about it, right? That is out of the box vulnerability that has been dealt with. So now these voter machines are out there. They're probably already distributed to a lot of locations, right? And they're about to set up for the 2020 election. And if these are not set up properly in all points, they are exposed. That's all. Now you're saying physical access. You're going to get millions of people physical access to it. A person that comes to vote gets physical access. Now, if he already had practice and knows exactly what to do, maybe it's just a matter of seconds to hack it. And you have zero control over that. You are exposing people in a closed booth to these machines. So you need to know where it's vulnerable. I'm not saying they're saying, look, the next election are going to be fraudulent, but they are raising the alarm. Look, everybody was pissed off about Y2K bug, right? There was this whole uproar, media, we're not ready, blah, 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 blah. But when it came to actually taking steps were taken before to make sure that nothing would happen. And the eventual result was nothing happened.
Agreed. And so there are steps. This is my point, Golf. I'm not saying these machines are absolutely vulnerable. There's no doubt. There's not a doubt in my mind that they're vulnerable. Like just like your computer and my computer are vulnerable right now.
Right.
But these machines are already not connected to the internet. They are monitored. Now I don't know about every voting place, but every place I've ever voted, you have a piece of paper that you put your things on, and then you slide them into the voting machine where it does your thing. There is a person standing there feeding the results into the machine. I'm not saying that these machines are these things are the most perfect things in the world. But again, you're taking the most extreme favorable opportunity to get access to this machine where you can do whatever you want to it for hours, days, however long you need. Yeah, of course.
Here's the weak point in this whole thing is that all of these are locally administered. There is no central body of oversight on the local level, on the state level, on the federal level. There is no voting machine that the federal government says you need to use this one. There's optical tabulated paper ballots, punch cards, optical scan, electronic input devices, direct recording devices, direct recording electronic voting machines, and all these different things out there. If you don't have a good local oversight, all of this doesn't make any difference because people will find a way to change the results. And the results only really matter when it's close. If it's a blowout, if it's somebody wins by a lot, this never comes up, right? Nobody cares because it's such a big margin. But when it's close is when all this stuff shows up and people get pissed off.
Right. And what, do you really want to deal with this after the election?
Oh no.
Right.
There was a movement for a while to have a national study done. Government here, right? Government would do this, but somebody would study. They supposedly got universities involved, and let's come up with an ideal voting machine that would solve everybody's. Because there's still places that have in the booth, you just throw the lever, the curtain closes, and you push down a little lever. There are places that still use this stuff, and it's not necessarily safe. The biggest exposure here is absentee ballots and provisional ballots. That's when people find them in the trunk of a car somewhere when they need them. That's not even regulated by the voting machine. This is hand stuff. But the point is, we don't have a standard, and until we have a standard and we have universal requirement for voter ID national, it's never going to be fixed. Doesn't matter. It's always somebody's always going to be unhappy with it.
And even then, right, we're going to have problems because if you're talking about a government issued machine, right,
Yes,
then
exactly.
the federal government will need to pay for all of the machines. And after they bought them and distributed them, right, a flaw will be discovered.
Well, the idea was that they were going to come up and say, well, here are the 2 or 3 machines that we recommend. You can select one of these 3 or whatever and use it. And then there would be some type of audit process that they would have. An independent third party could come in and audit the process that the local election board uses.
Right. And
they're great ideas, but they'll never happen.
Right. And the pushback from the states will be, how are we going to pay for them?
Exactly.
Right. Because if you have only 3, that means these 3 specifically are going to be extremely expensive.
Yep.
Right. So it's like, there's no good way of getting it done until it'll be done, right?
And as long as you have things like motor voter laws, where somebody walks into a DMV and gets their license, says, would you like to register to vote? No question about whether they're legal to do so or eligible. They just say, would you like to register? Okay, they're registered.
That's not the way it works. Come on.
And it can work that way, and it does work that way in some cities. It's an automatic registration. It happens in New York City. I know people that are not citizens who have been registered to vote. It's just the way it works. It's local. It's local. It's not like a national thing, but it does happen. Amnon, you can tell me about this.
Yeah.
This happens. But the motor voter law was specifically designed supposedly to reach the underrepresented, and that's true. It does. But at the same time, it allows people you can go into
abuse.
You can go in with no identification and say, I'm supposed to vote here and fill out a provisional ballot. It goes into the system. And then when they're supposed to go back and check the provisional ballot to make sure if they need it, say it's really close and it's down to just a couple of hundred votes and they need to count every ballot. Do they go and they really look at that ballot to say, is this person genuine? They don't have to. The people that sit down and do this can say, well, I know this guy's okay.
So I have a question that comes out of ignorance because I've heard some of let's call it the titles of the topics of voter ID, and is that state mandated or is that federal mandated?
State.
There is
there's no federal law. It's up to the states to put. And North Carolina has a constitutional amendment that was passed for voter ID, which is being held up in the courts now because the courts say, "Oh no, that's not fair." No, the state
Okay,
we
so
passed the
eventually,
law, an amendment to the Constitution, voted on by the people to say we need to have voter ID, and the courts could say, "Oh, sorry, we're going to stop that."
so the courts are basing their ruling on federal constitution law?
No, the state constitution, or whatever they want to. You can cherry pick and find a judge somewhere that agrees with what you want to do, and he'll put a stop order out there, and then it gets tied up in the courts for years.
Okay, so what you're describing is it's a matter of time, because I mean, realistically, there are no rulings or constitution entries, either federal or state, that say we will never have voter ID, right?
No, it's literally up to the states to decide.
And there are states where it is legal.
Yes. Oh yeah.
It's mandated.
Enforced.
That is mandated. Yes.
Enforced. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, sounds like
And
North Carolina will get there eventually.
Well, eventually, the reason why timing is important is each election decides who gets to appoint judges. If
Right.
one party gets to appoint the judges are usually, depending on the type of judgeship, is a lifetime appointment. You appoint a person, and this is the way politics works. It's not a flaw in the system. It's the way it's supposed to work. You get to appoint that judge who's going to be there for 30 years.
Mhm.
So that when something gets challenged, that's why the whole uproar about the Supreme Court is that they hate the idea that one or the other party will get to pick, "Oh, well, we can't accept that person." Well, you're not in power right now. You're not the president gets to submit the person.
Yeah,
He was
well.
elected. So it's all about so-called fairness, when fairness is not, it's not fair. It's got to do with who wins.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, we've been embroiled in this whole voter ID thing here, and now you look at all the other things that you need to have an ID for, and voting is not one of them. Compared to open a bank account, get any kind of benefits, apply for insurance, apply for a mortgage, anything, you need an ID. It's not fly on an airplane, get a library card. I mean, it's unreasonable to think that suddenly with voting that's different.
James is saying voter ID will be used in 2020. I wonder where he gets that from.
I don't know. The last I heard was that it was still being challenged. That's a good question. I don't know where it is.
Yeah. Oh no, he said not in Wake County.
Just for fun, I got my license out one year when I voted. "Oh, we don't need that." I said, "Yes, theoretically legal, you do." "Oh, but we're not required to do so." I said, "Yeah, I understand that, but here's my ID. Please take a look at it."
Yeah. All right. We're getting kind of toward the end of the show. Anybody has anything else they want to add here? Nick?
You're right, Amnon. It says voter ID. Judge won't block voter ID for 2020, but lawsuits continue. Be interesting. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Gal, anything else?
No, nothing much.
Anything new in the cord cutting? Without getting
No.
into a long story.
No, I haven't really done anything, seen anything in the past week. So
No.
Don't have any news.
Has there been any? I remember seeing about 6 months ago that there was when people monitor what it would cost to cord cut and get the same content that you had before, it's at the point, or was getting close to the point where it costs the same, depending on
Costs
what it is
more. It costs more.
to
Yeah,
cord
he
cut.
says.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Spence is saying. It still costs more, and it's getting closer to the point where it'll cost about the same.
Yep. So it's really not much of an advantage.
Yeah.
I used
Right now, Yeah, go on.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, I have Spectrum cable, and when I was in Alaska, I could use my Verizon broadband connection. Now I had a limited set of channels. I didn't get all the channels that I would get if I was home on my home Wi-Fi, but I got enough channels. I did fine, work remotely, but I'm still paying through the nose for cable. But we have our DVR and on demand, and happy with the service has been much better than it was.
Oh, do you see what James is writing there? In Wake County, the election system is safe. It's one of the best in the country. Interesting.
Paper ballots with a scanner.
I don't know.
That's how it works. We have
But
fill out.
he says,
scratch
I'm an
the blank.
election official.
Well, it's nice because they don't have to make any program changes
Yeah.
to the device necessarily for each election. You hear stories about people putting in I voted for this candidate, and I went to look at my choices, and it was the other candidate. And I kept trying to put in the candidate I wanted, and it kept slipping over to the other candidate. And they'd complain, and people, oh, sorry, we don't know anything.
All right.
Internet voting, that's coming. They're talking about it.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, you could only vote with an Apple non-jailbreak phone.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, no. With an Apple watch.
Watch.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
With Apple biometrics going on it, right?
Yeah.
They're going to take your specific density of your skin electromagnetic resistance, and that's how they'll know.
Exactly.
Okay, guys. I guess we'll end the show at this point. Thanks, Gal, Spence, Nick. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Dana. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. See you next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.